wings, listen up. Today's run is vitally important to our cause. Set your frequencies to Dice Time, a Star Wars Legion podcast and part of the Legion Academy Collective. Your lead wing captain today will be Ben Jetron, and your support ship leader will be Paul Watson. Let's show them what we're made of, rebels.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dice Time. I'm Ben Jetron.
I'm Paul Watson.
We're coming to you live from the Mos Eisley DMV. Currently in line and waiting for our turn. So there's been a transition in government, obviously, and now we've got to get plates for the Aa5, which just as soon as I thought we were going to get enough money to start getting like another ship and get off planet, now I got to spend it on getting replated and relicensed, and now it sucks. But how are you, Paul?
Well, other than waiting in this line again, doing all right.
Let's see. Hopefully we're not waiting too long. We are number 748. What number are they serving right now?
Looks like 16.
Oh, okay. Well,
We're
all
gonna
right.
be here a bit.
All right, a little bit, a little while, maybe a couple hours or so. But my goal is not to miss it this time, not again. Because if we miss it, we gotta wait a third time.
Yeah, I'm not waiting in this line with you again, so we better make it this time.
All right. Well, we'll try to get it down pat. All right, so topics today. Oh, and as a little bit of a pre-warning, both Paul and I have a little bit of a cough, but it's nothing serious, just a little seasonal. And good news, you will not get, it's not contagious through audio. So just listening to us cough, you will not get sick. It might make you cough because sometimes if I hear the sound of people cough, maybe I cough, but whatever. Otherwise you won't get sick. You should be good. Aside from that, I'm gonna try to mute it out as much as I can. Try to suppress it or mute the mic if I feel it coming on. Paul's already hacking up his lung. It's just muted. He just hasn't showed us.
You know it.
We've got a lot to talk about. Well, a little bit to talk about today while we're waiting in line here. There was obviously the huge point update that happened at the end of October. We're going to go over some of our some of the point changes and all that, and just talk about some of the major stuff. If you want a really good deep dive, I know that Legion Academy loves to deep dive all the new rules and all the new erratas and point changes and all that. We're just going to kind of do a fast and loose version of that. And then after that, I'll be full transparency. I've not played all that much Legion between this last show and this one. Life's been quite busy for me. Paul, I understand, has been somewhat similar, but has actually managed to get in, a good handful of games. So Paul's going to deep dive us into some fun, Aa5 tactics and Fleet Trooper tactics because, well, that's just what I wanted to hear. And I figure he did really well with those two units together. And I thought when it first came out that was going to be something that I wanted to play. So I think everybody might learn a little fun something from listening to Wise Sensei Watson. What do you say, Paul? You ready?
Yeah. You want me to start with the fleets?
Actually, we'll go ahead and go into the points updates and the erratas first, and then when we get to Aa5 and fleets, you can talk about like maybe anything that pre and post changes that you think might affect your lists or anything like that. So we can quickly just run through the neutral upgrade point changes. So anger went down 2 points. So did E-stims also went down 2 points. So did duck and cover, and smoke grenades went up a point. Thought that was interesting. I don't see smoke grenades enough, but I mean, I guess they went up a point for some reason I'm not familiar with, I guess. Everything else going down 2 points, I'm totally down with.
Yeah, The thing that stands out to me that I find interesting is here Eastims has now come full circle, right?
Yeah, right.
It's back to where it started, and it
Yep.
increased and then decreased a little, and now decreased back to normal.
Yep. That'll be interesting. I know a couple of my lists. I really love Eastim, so I might just have to stick to that. So, let's go ahead and run through these faction changes real quick. Paul, reach into this hat that I happen to be wearing that has all 4 faction names in that and draw one out and tell me what you see.
Oh gosh, let's start with Rebels, because we play a lot of Rebels.
Alright, getting the good stuff out of the way so everyone can skip the rest. Alright, so looking at units, looks like our favorite FD laser cannon went down 5 points. The Commandos went down 2 points. Pathfinders also went down 2 points. R2-D2, the droid, the myth, the legend, went up 10 points. And then my girls Jin and Leia each went down 10 points. Ladies Night is feeling good with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things reduced there, right? That is interesting because I don't think you see a lot of those played, and so you can see the clear goal of trying to get some of these things to the table, right?
Yeah.
The Pathfinders, the full Commando
Commandos.
squad, Leia and Jin. Leia used to be very popular, really early when you didn't have a whole lot of options, but she was quite good. And there have just been other options. But man, what is it, 80 points for her?
Yeah, it's 80 now.
Man, that's real cheap.
Super tempting. Like, I can't think of a list now. The problem, or the thing I was doing was, like, for a while, the generic at, 50, I think, right? The generic commander's 50, and then Leia was 90. It's like, I was almost always willing to just give up the 40 points, and, maybe that's a naked rebel unit or something, but I was always willing to cut that to upgrade to Leia, just for all the stuff that she offers.
Yeah, because
good.
Yeah, you really took that generic officer and you usually put the extra, cover 1 on him. So
right.
He was 60 points, and then she was still 90.
Yeah.
And it's I'm getting over 30 points by not taking her. And like you said,
and that's 10 points of command card.
Yeah.
It's 10 points of command card, and that's really good because her command cards are awesome.
But now all of a sudden you drop that to about 20 points different. And you're like, huh.
Now it's super worth it.
Yeah. Because she's quite good with that sharpshooter, too. She can actually kill some stuff on her own with the Pierce. And
oh, totally.
Yeah, she's got some really good abilities. And then those command cards can be very good in certain situations if you can, play them right. So, yeah, that's really good. I'm interested to see Jin, too. I know that there's some people who are really high on Jin. I know you're one of them. But you don't see her very much. But I think with that reduction, we might start seeing her a little bit more.
But you know what that means? Lots of people miss playing Infiltrate and easy Jin kills. And I'll be one of those people, even though I've been playing her since she came out.
I was going to say they should watch some of your Yavin-based Team League games.
Oh, wait, those. Actually, I did pretty well with some of those infiltrates, even though they were kind of ballsy at times.
Oh, yeah, no, they were just very aggressive infiltrates, for sure.
Well, they usually were, just because, it was zone denial.
Oh, yeah.
Because I played on the same map a million times, and I was I saw my opponent's list, I'm like, okay, I know where I need to go so that, they can't infiltrate there. If they had an infiltrate unit or something, I'm like, I need to stop them from going here. So I know at least 1 or 2 of the games, I just put Jin out there literally just to zone deny.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to infiltrate deny, because I'm like, they just win if they infiltrate there. And I'm like, I can't have that.
Yeah, having Cassian in certain places on that board that you were playing was just too much.
Yeah. Alright, so moving on to Rebel upgrades. We'll just run through this real fast. So most of a couple of the Aa5 upgrades already went up in cost. And that was I guess that was a change that they wanted to see the Aa5 come up in cost, but not the unit itself. So that was an interesting choice. So the Gonk droid went up 4 points. Unorthodox Tactician went up 6 points. The quad gunner went down 8 points. And I think that, and the reckless driver went up 6 points. That one hurt my heart real bad. Cause he looks like a lot of fun. And I unfortunately haven't been able to put my Aa5 together yet. And I was like, I'm gonna miss it when it's like in its prime, but I'll play it the same way. It doesn't matter. It'll just cost more points, but Rebels across the board kind of always get cheaper, so.
Yeah, I will say that AA5, like some of those changes, especially to the tactician, were definitely needed.
Yeah.
It got hit even more than just the points increase, right? So, it works a little differently now, which again was needed. I will just have a little quick piece right here. I played a game against a local guy who was running K2 and Cassian and the 2 buses with tacticians in them. The first action of the first turn, he had 16 aims on the table.
Oh my god.
The game was pretty much just over at that point.
That sounds terrible.
I lost a Gav tank turn 1, so it was that bad. So
Jeez.
yeah, it was a needed change for that tactician. It was very strong. Now it just makes it a little like you have to play around it a little bit more, rather than just getting aims at the beginning of the turn without having to do anything.
Yeah, that list though only costs 12 more points now, so they're just cutting something to still do that if they wanted to, but I'm not going to encourage anyone to do that. That sounds nasty.
Yeah,
nasty
it was not fun to play against, to have 16 aims before you could even do anything.
There's nasty in the good way and there's nasty in the bad way, and that just feels nasty in the bad way. Alright, so the rest of these, let's see, we've got Land Speeder Gunner went down to 1 point. That feels right, because I never took that gun in my life, and 1 point feels like that's good. Like, I might actually take it now that it's only 1 point.
See, I was taking it at 9 points or whatever it was, and I'm super excited that it's 1 point now, because I like to run my land speeders without the rocket. I usually ran them with the gonk droid.
Oh, I love the rocket though.
And then the extra 2 whites, and so I mean you're still rolling an 8 dice pool on that, which is still quite good. And now I mean the increase decrease is about the same for me. So.
All right, so the flamethrower on the AT-RT went down 5 points. The Fleet Barrage Trooper, that's the Fleet Trooper that nobody painted, and it has the grenade launcher, went down 3 points. So now you can bust that out and paint it and then put it back on the shelf. POW went down 2 points. That's pretty cool. The Commando Saboteur went down 3 points. The Rebel Trooper with the Ion went down 1 point. Woo! That was a sarcastic woo, sorry. The Rebel Trooper with the shotgun, that's the Rebel Trooper, not the Fleet Trooper, sadly, went down 2 points. The Rebel Trooper Captain, I think this is, the Rebel Trooper Captain went down 2 points, and the Rebel Trooper Specialist went down 4 points. And then Wedge went up 4 points, but I think that's also because they changed, I think they gave him Field Commander.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's fair. Because they did the same thing with Weiss. We'll get over to him when we get to Empire. But they did something similar to him too.
Yeah, there's a lot of just little point changes there. And again, I think the big focus seems to be getting things to the table that don't see a whole lot of play right now.
Yeah, Rebels, I feel like, compared to everybody else, Rebels didn't get that big of, like, points-wise, not errata-wise, I'll say that. In my opinion, Rebels got the coolest thing errata-wise. No, coolest to me. I feel like the coolest thing errata-wise is probably Vader, but close second for me has got to be.
Yeah, we'll talk Vader later.
We'll talk to him. All right, let's jump over to CIS, the polar opposite of what we play. So the unit-wise, the AAT went up 5 points. The B1s went up 2 points. STAPs also went up a whopping 2 points. take that triple stap, you now have to pay 6 more points. You're done. That's it. Triple stap meta over. Boy, I'm getting saucy in this episode. Shoot. I'm usually not like that. So that's all the increases on the units. Decreases, good news. Dooku went down 5. Droidekas went down 5. Grievous went down 15. And then my boy Cad Bane went down 5. Because he deserves it. So Grievous down 15 points. What do you think that's all about?
I honestly think it just goes back to what I was saying before, is that they're trying to get stuff to the table that you don't see as much. And
Are we not seeing Grievous anymore?
Honestly, I don't know. I see Maul much more than Grievous on the table. Especially in the competitive list, it's all about Maul. Personally, Maul. I love Grievous. I love his mobility. I love the versatility with his gun. There's just a lot of stuff that I like about Grievous, so making him cheaper, I'm like, okay, sounds good to me.
Grievous and Cad Bane are the only ones I've actually, played, but that's because I literally don't ever play, CIS ever. But when I do, Grievous and Cad Bane are, the only characters I play, so. But yeah, no, I guess you're right. Yeah, now that I think about it, it's the CIS is all about Dooku and Maul right now. And Maul's not even on this list. They didn't even touch him at all. I guess they were just we'll just kind of bend everything around him and see if that works out. I guess might have been the mindset.
Yeah, Maul seemed pretty good. A lot of people are running him.
Alright, so let's go to upgrades. Grievous's Annihilator Pistol went down 4 points. So, yay! That's another 4 points off Grievous, because if you're not putting that gun on him, you made a mistake somewhere. The E5C B1 went down by 2 points. And then the B1 Sniper and Rocket also went down 2 points. The Rad Cannon, everyone's favorite gun that everyone's taking, went down 6 points. And hopefully we'll see it on the table now. The B1 Personnel and the Security Droid both went down 1 point as well. Oh, and the OOM also went down a point. The Viper Droid went down 2, and then the only increase is the B2 Cannon, which is now at 32 points instead of 30. So lots of again, like the Rebels, it's lots of tiny little decreases, just kind of across the board, mostly focused on those B1s.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get people to want to get away from running naked B1 squads and actually put that heavy in there.
I see that, but at the same time, I don't think, unless my math is completely dumb, I don't think they really changed anything, because they increased the base unit by 2, but then decreased the heavy by 2. I guess that just means it costs the same, but if you're just running it naked, then you're paying a tax. I guess is what that. Okay, all right. So it's okay, all right. I see where they're coming from. I guess they're kind of interesting take, but it.
Yeah, it's kind of a roundabout way to do it, right?
Yeah, math checks out, I guess.
Yeah, overall, I feel like CIS didn't really change a whole lot.
No.
It was just kind of making the stuff that's really good a little more expensive, making stuff we don't see a little less expensive, trying to even it out. Yeah.
Alright, so let's move into Republic. Now we'll see a couple bigger point changes here. A couple. And then we'll go ahead and save the faction that got the biggest changes overall. The most and the biggest changes, which was Empire, who needed it. Absolutely, I think. But let's go to Republic. So unit-wise, Anakin has gone down 5 points. Joe will be happy about that. He already is. The ATRT has gone down 5 points. The LAAT went down 15 points. Pretty sweet. And then everything else is increases. The generic commander went up 5 points. R2-D2 went up 10 points. And Rex also got that 10-point upgrade that I think everyone saw coming from a range 4 stick away.
Yeah, this is one that I find interesting because I feel like this is the one where they almost started to break away from what I've been saying this whole time about them trying to get stuff that you don't see to the table more. And I mean, I think a lot of people thought Anakin was bad. I do not share that opinion.
Yeah.
But what I find interesting is Anakin got reduced, but Obi-Wan, someone we still haven't seen on the table since he was the only option to put on the table. He didn't get touched. Like, hasn't been touched.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's super strong to begin with.
No.
Like, he's very expensive for what he does. He makes
I don't think we're going to see him still.
Yeah, and that's sad to me. Like, I'd like to see him just as much as I see Anakin.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how clones fare with the changes. Like, you know, said the big 10-point increase on Rex. I mean, trying to get away from that Rex Star that everybody's running, because there are other things in Republic that are good.
I'm going to see how all this has to affect my what was the event called that they did where you could unconventional warfare.
Yes.
The 5-point tax on my generic commander and the 10-point tax on Rex is gonna destroy that list. I'm gonna have to fix it.
Yeah.
Because that was Rex Star but with commanders instead of anything else.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's a big tax there.
What
were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say the big thing is that change with clones too is not the points, right?
It's the token share.
It's the token share that really hits them hard. And so it's like, you know, they can only share one token at a time now instead of stacking up 4 aims and, you know, kind of dice fixing one of their, you know, shots and do a lot of hits and crits. All of a sudden, now you can only pull 1 aim off.
Yep.
Or 1 surge off. So yeah, that is the big hit that I think a lot of Republic players are hurting for.
Yeah.
Now, again, there's different ways to play clones. Like the Barks are still good. You still have saber tanks and, you know, Padme, you know, standby shenanigans and all of that. So there's still other ways to play clones. It's just not what
it used to be.
Yeah,
right.
Rex Star is not the list it used to be, for sure,
no.
with these changes.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be quite the same at all.
Nope.
All right, so Republic upgrades the Bark. I'm sorry to have to break your heart on this one, Paul, but the Bark weapons went up. The Bark Ion went up 2 points, and the Bark Twin Laser went up 1 point. I'm sure your heart broke when you saw that.
Well, it's rough. I mean, considering I've been running the rocket most often anyway.
You're fine,
really,
yeah. Echo also went up 2 points, and Fives went up 4 points. It's like I already felt like paying 40 some odd points for these characters felt like a big investment, because that's a whole activation, almost a whole activation. But now it's like, I'm probably never going to pay 42 points for Echo.
Yeah, that's the thing. Echo is just
I'll probably still pay
good.
the 40 for Fives.
Yeah, Fives is still probably worth it at 40.
Yeah.
But Echo is probably not. Echo probably could have been decreased, and you would still see Fives over Echo.
Yeah. Is Fives still an auto-include at 40? I think maybe, yeah.
I think in most lists, if you're trying to get that order control, or, you know, those fire support options, Fives is just really good.
Alright, the good news decreases are the ATRT flamethrower went down 5 points. The DC-15 for the Phase 1s went down a point, as did my favorite clone shotgun, the DP-23. And then the Phase 1 Captain went down 2 points, and the Phase 1 Specialist went down 3 points. Now, all those decreases sound well and good, because I used to have a Rex or generic, it doesn't matter, skirmish list that made a really fun turn out of Take That Clankers, where they would move up with offensive push and then shoot the range 3 shotgun, and they would do that either by specialists or by captains. And I was just like, yeah, this is great. And then I heard the I saw the errata to the specifically that card, Rex's 2-pip, take that clankers. And now they have to take the aim action. They can't just spend an aim token, but that unit has to take the. Sorry, I'm choking. They have to take the aim action now, which makes take that clankers a lot more. What's the word? Like illustrated, I guess. A lot more. What's the word I'm looking for, Paul? Help me out.
I'm not sure if this is what you're looking for, but it also seems like you have to plan for it more. 'Cause you have to get your guys in position like the turn before. And so you
do, yes.
You kind of have to like telegraph what you're doing.
Telegraphed. You got it. That's the word I was looking for. It's a lot more telegraphed to your opponent when you're setting up for take that clankers, because before you could use like offensive push and you could do a move to get into position, get the free aim, and then spend that aim to do the shot. But now you can't do that. You're pretty much feet planted when you play. It's like you're telling your opponent when you play take that clankers, like, hey, the people I put orders on, like, they're feet planted, or else I'm messing up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna. Again, I don't know if we're gonna see as much of people trying to pull off take that clankers and things like that with Rex.
Yeah. I don't know if it needed to get hit that hard. Like, the faction as a whole got hit pretty hard, at least in its current state. I think this is either going to force people, I think it's either going to, everyone's going to complain about it, and it's going to become the next Empire. Empire from last errata, I should say, and last points change. Last meta. Or B, it's going to force the faction and the players to have to change the faction's identity completely, because they basically just took the faction, beat it over the head with the new book, and said, change your ways or die. And now they have to change their ways because they have had so many fundamental things changed about them, and so many fundamental things that we've seen from the Republic in the previous meta are just completely gone now. So Republic players, unless they're jumping ship and playing Empire, like I know a lot of them are, if they want to stay playing Republic, they got to change their pants. They got to figure out what the new Republic meta looks like.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the things that I've been thinking of when I think of Republic is thinking about like the current state of the game and how much armor is in place.
Yeah.
And the one thing that Republic has is it has the best anti-armor heavy in the game. The Saber tank is the best at killing other armor. So,
fun fact, no touches at all to the Saber tank. So Saber tank players rejoice.
I think,
except for R2 going up 10 points. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we're going to see more clone lists that are, triple barks, and
yeah,
that'd
be fun.
A Saber tank with Padme or things like that, where to get past the negative token sharing, nerf kind of that the clones got, you put Padme in your list and she can still share a bunch of tokens. So, again, there's ways around it. It's just going to be different than we're used to with clones. So it'll be interesting to see what people can kind of come up with. And then, of course, we have, new releases coming out. I mean, at some point, maybe the U.S. will get them, but...
Well, I was going to say, I'm not all that concerned, because I'm probably just going to buy Yoda, and then I'm not, super high on I got to buy a box of Wookiee Warriors, because they got all the new cards and stuff in them, and the models look sick. I'm not all that, that I need to grab everything right away out of this wave. I'm kind of waiting for... I'm sure there's going to be a wave that's coming up that there's Shadow Collective coming up. I know I'm going to buy into that for sure. I'm kind of thankful that we have when the Kashyyyk wave came out, I wasn't awestruck like everyone else was. Everyone was loving all the droid stuff, all the clone stuff that was coming out, and I'm sitting here as a Rebel player, and I'm just I'm pretty good. I was oh, Yoda, I need that. Yoda I need for sure. And then it's like, oh, new Wookiees. I play Wookiees. That helps my rebels, so I need that. And then I looked at everything else, or I'm gonna get the Super Tac Droid out of CIS because I collect commanders, obviously. But then after that, I was kind of like, The rest of this I can wait. I'll get it at some point, but don't need it right now. Oh, I need those Magna Guard actually. So I actually need like half this wave now that I think about it. But yeah, the U.S. not getting it yet was kind of just my way of being able to not buy it yet. So. If I didn't already have a huge need for it right away. All right, Paul. What do you say we go into the faction that got the biggest makeover?
Oh yeah, get ready. This list is long.
Yeah, it is. All right, so let's look at units. Looking at increases, Commander Vader went up 15 points, and Operative Vader went up 20 points. And if you've been living under a rock and you didn't know all the changes that happened to Vader, you might be thinking, oh my god, Vader's unplayable again. But let me tell you this. Vader got all sorts of errata changes. I don't even know all of them off the top of my head. I know Commander Vader got a training slot, or not a training slot, a commander slot, which was a big change. I know Operative Vader lost Spur and is now just flat out Speed 2, which scares the life out of me. But I think is also welcomed.
And he has extra health, right?
No. And yeah, I think he got extra health, which also scares the life out of me.
Yeah, he's like an actual Operative Luke now. Not quite as good, but still quite good.
Well, it's like my buddy Josh, who honestly, like, I should have him on and see if he wants to talk about Empire. He's the person that I do all the battle reports with, which you might be saying like, hey, I haven't seen one of those in months and months. Fun fact, I've been sitting on the footage and I've just not been editing it, but we did play a game like back in the previous errata. Where we did the second of the escape pod scenario. I actually just started editing that footage again like yesterday. So hopefully soon, like this month, I would like to put it up and just get it done because now it's old meta. Or now it's old errata, I should say. It's not even relevant anymore. People are gonna be like, what is this? But it's still a really fun game. So that was just a quick little plug for that. But he plays Vader in that video, but he also just plays Vader in his Empire because he has had some really good games with Vader, and he's like, Vader just keeps getting better and better. They keep making Vader better. So if I just keep playing him, and then keep playing him with the new changes and stuff, I can just get good with him, then I can get great with him when they change him and they make him even better. So he's definitely excited for the Vader changes. He's also a big speeder bike. He's very adamant for the speeder bike and all of its love. And so he'll be really happy to know that in the first of decreases that the speeder bike went down 5 points. The ATST went down 5 points. Boba Fett went down 5 points, which I have a small thing about Boba Fett here in a little bit. I'll let Paul talk before that. Krennic went down 15. Very nice. The Dewbacks went down 5. Palpatine went down 10. Veers went down 5. Oh, he loves Veers too, so he's ecstatic, if you didn't already know. Couldn't imagine. Death Troopers went down 4. Awesome. Royal Guard went down 6, so now there are 69 points. Nice. The LAAT went down 15 points, just like the Republic one, and the Gav tank went down 5. What's your thoughts there, Paul?
That's a lot.
There's a lot
of changes.
It's a huge amount of changes compared to everybody else.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, a lot of changes, a lot of reductions, obviously other than Vader, but Vader has such a big upside with other stuff that he got that we'll talk about, I'm sure. Some of that stuff is scary so far with how good some of these Empire lists are going to get.
There's
a lot of, with all these point reductions, I mean, there's a potential to get almost a whole nother activation in Empire, which is going to make some lists really interesting, and I'll talk about one of mine that I made when we get to that point. But to segue you to talk about Boba, if you want to, they can reduce Boba another 30 points, and he still probably isn't playable.
You know exactly what I was going to say. Boba coming down 5 points felt like a slap in the face almost, because that's not at all going to fix him. It's not even close to fixing him. And I love him. So go ahead. Yeah.
And he's not unplayable.
No.
He's just not anywhere close to the other characters you can take
exactly
in that range.
Yep. For any faction, he's really not comparable to the modern meta, which is the problem they had with Vader, and they keep bringing Vader up, and it's because, Vader's the most iconic Imperial character.
Right.
So they keep, kajaggering him around to make sure that he can stay relevant and stay in the meta and stay on the table, which is good. I appreciate that. I love that. In fact, I want Vader to be the scariest mofo to walk in the room. Like, when I see Vader, I want to be quaking in my boots. And even before all these upgrades and the last point change in errata that we got, I felt like Vader was pretty dang close to where he should be at. And then they did all this, and I'm like, oh yeah, Vader. We say it every update, but this time I really mean it. Vader got buff, and Vader got scary. Both versions.
Yes.
But Boba, as much as I love Boba Fett to death, my favorite Imperial character-wise, as in this faction so far, I gotta say that I am probably not putting him on the table until, he gets an errata. Or no, not even a lower points change, unless they brought him down to 50 points or something. That's ridiculous. But even then, he needs an errata to be really competitive.
He'd have to be under 100 to be in there
considered.
For me. Yeah, to me right now, he's around the same points as Callus, and Callus is just better.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take Callus over him right now.
Yeah, so, and same thing with Bosk. I think I'd rather have Bosk than Boba, because his cards are more relevant. That's the big thing with Boba, is they're so situational.
Yep, and telegraphed.
Yeah, you kind of know what Boba's playing. There's no secrets behind what he's doing, and that shouldn't feel that way, right? You would think Boba, he always has some tricks, right? He should feel almost kind of more like Cad Bane does,
right?
I feel like Cad
I want
Bane
him to be on
very
Bane
much
on par with him.
Yeah, he's ahead of the game. He's always one step ahead of his prey, and Boba's just I'm coming. you know what I'm doing.
I want Boba to get super changed hard, and I feel like he's. They're gonna obviously touch on him when the Shadow Collective comes out. That's almost. I feel like that's impossible to assume otherwise. You're going to be talking about a scum and villainy faction, and everyone talks about how Boba Fett, would be a scum and villainy character, he would be thriving in that. Plus, the Book of Boba Fett's coming out soon, and it's very clear to me, if you haven't seen the trailer or anything, it's clear to me that they're going to be playing Boba Fett to be this crime lord. Or I don't know about crime lord, but he's going to be building up a syndicate, He's going to be a leader. He's going to be a huge character coming up, in Star Wars media. He already is. He's already one of the most iconic Star Wars characters regardless. But he's about to get even bigger, because it's about to continue his canonical story, and he's going to jump in popularity so much. Or at least in relevancy, if not popularity, but also popularity. And so there's no way that they can't touch him in Legion. They can't make him in his current state in Legion for long. So I feel like when Shadow Collective comes out, they're gonna give a new profile to Boba at this point, is kind of what he needs. If you wanted to unintrusively fix Boba. I've given my answer before, and nobody's argued with me on it and said that it's not okay at all. But like, give his flamethrower, like, give it permanent. The command card with the flamethrower, to give it permanent. Let him have that for the rest of the game. The jetpack rocket, just make that either permanent or make it like, give it cycle or something, like permanent and cycle, where he like can use it like once every couple turns or something like that. Like, I want Boba Fett to be the walking arsenal that they play him up to be, in Star Wars. I want him to be this, like, he's gonna come up at me and I'm like, I don't even know what weapon he's gonna kill me with. I want Boba Fett to fly at me and then I'm like, what flavor am I gonna die in? You see him in The Mandalorian, like, killing stormtroopers left and right with a new weapon every corpse. It's just like, I wanna play, but when I play Boba, I wanna feel like I have an arsenal at my fingertips, and I don't feel like that when I play Boba now. I feel like I'm trying to do surgery with a butter knife when I play Boba.
Yeah, you just made me think that's what they should do with this next Boba release. Is obviously they're going to have a new profile, whatever, for the, if they do him in this new faction or whatever. Right. But they should just give him like 9 command cards, so he'll have 12 total, and then you just never know what you're getting.
That's true.
You have like Luke's and Vader's that have 6, and you're like, man, all those cards are good. And if Boba just had like 12 cards to pick from, you'd have no idea what you were getting from Boba.
Yeah. The only thing I would love that, because then there's an element of surprise, and maybe you could play a dedicated Boba list where Boba is your leader or your main focus, which is what I'd love. But and that's like one of the reasons I haven't really come back to Empire yet, is I'm waiting for one day when they just finally make Thrawn. But I mean, the longer we wait, the more powerful he's going to be, because power creep is real. So it's a bittersweet that we don't have him yet. But Boba Fett, Boba Fett's my other main focus of what I want to play in Empire, and he's just not really competitive right now. So I've not gotten really to play him. And having him have 12 command cards where they're all different weapons in his arsenal would be something fun. But at the same time, the other thing that really bogs him down is his command cards are super telegraphed. And I feel like that gets fixed if you give them permanent and cycle or something like that. The whipcord can stay the way it is. That's pretty run of the mill for someone else, for another character, even though Sabine's, it's literally an upgrade, but whatever.
Sabine's is an action, right, and an exhaust, but she can do it multiple times a game.
Yeah.
Like, she could just tie someone down for the entire game if that's what you wanted her to do. But
Boba, his are super telegraphed, because when you play it at the start of the turn, now your opponent knows what you're doing, right away. It's just like, oh, well, Boba's gonna go here, or Boba's gonna target this, and then he's gonna move and get that. Or he's gonna stay in combat with what he's in combat with, and he's gonna hit that. And I don't want that to be, telegraphed. I don't want Boba Fett to be super obvious, you see him coming. I want him to flip out, and you'd be like, oh god. Oh, the flamethrower, I didn't think of that. Or just if it had permanent or something, you played it turn 1, it's great, now he just has a flamethrower that he can play around with for the rest of the game. That's another tool in the arsenal, for a lack of a better term.
I would even take a card like Chewbacca's that gives you cards back that you've already played.
Or I don't care. Just some way to make it to where it's you can use it multiple times or something, or keep your opponent guessing, you don't know what you're gonna do. There's a million things Boba Fett, he has a million different gadgets, what is he gonna get me with, or what's his plan? I need that surprise element for me to be able to really love playing Boba. To have all these weapons at my disposal is that's what he needs. And he doesn't get that right now.
No.
Anyway, alright. Boba rant over.
I think we had to do upgrades, right?
Yeah, let's do upgrades
real
quick.
Let's do
run down those. So, increase-wise, I don't think... Well, okay, there was one... I think... Oh, yeah, Weiss went up 4 points. Yep. Right. And that's because he got errata just like Wedge, where he's field commander now. Everything else
doesn't exhaust anymore, right?
And I don't think he exhausts anymore.
Huge.
Which is that is huge. I'm wondering if they're going to keep him at 5 points or if that's going to go up based on.
I feel like he should be
play.
at 10, like Shriv or Price or
Yeah. We'll see. It might come to that, but we'll see. The ATST went down another 5 points, so we'll probably start seeing some ATST Weiss. And so that'll be something to look for. Sprint through these other upgrades real quick. Big one that I loved. The Death Trooper configuration went from 8 points to free. That's always a good feeling. When something becomes free.
It matches the Rebel one now, right? They just get
Yes. Yep. Not that Death Troopers match Pathfinders in my opinion, but that's fine. Or I should say the other way around. Pathfinders don't quite reach Death Troopers, but that's okay. The DT-F16, the character for Death Troopers, also went down 7 points. That feels awesome. The Electra Staff Royal Guard went down 4 points. The ISF Heavy went down 2. The Shore Heavy went down 3. The Snow Ion went down 2, so now that's totally playable. The Stormtrooper DLT-19 went down 2 points. The Stormtrooper Rocket went down 4. The RT-97C went down 2, and so did the T-21. Del Meeko, this was a big shock to me. Del Meeko came down 13 points.
Yeah, it's
Del Meeko, the already auto-include character for any Empire player, went down like half his cost. What is that? Or sorry, not Del Meeko, but Gideon Hask went down 9. That's the one I was more referring to. Like Gideon going down of like a third of his cost. He's already like the auto-include, right?
I almost think at this point you put both of them in every list.
Well, yeah,
they're so cheap.
Now you do, for sure. Like people
they're not
were already
that much
before
more
taking
expensive.
one or the other, but now, you take them both.
They're not much more expensive than a normal heavy in whatever squad you put them in. So just pay the couple extra points.
Like they put them on par with like 5s. That was like the idea, was like to put them on par with like 5s and Echo, where they're like these characters that are worth like paying almost an activation of points for. But now they're just like, hang on. See, Del Meeko's 25, an RT-97C is 24, a DLT is 20. It's like pay 5 more points or pay 9 more points to get Del Meeko or Gideon. Seems crazy.
Yeah,
That's not the same difference between like a 26-point DC-15 on a Phase 1 and a 40-point 5s. It doesn't feel the same. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm just stupid when it comes to balancing games, but that just seemed crazy to me. I don't know. That just felt like an outlier among the rest of the changes.
Yeah, no, those are big changes for those two characters for sure.
I celebrate everybody that's going to go out and make them great, because it's just going to help Empire become greater. So, I'm not dogging on them. Great. That's awesome. I still don't play Empire, so I don't know personally. ATST's weapons. The Twin Blaster went down 10 whole points. The Mortar went down 5, and the Grenade Launcher went down 7. Baron Rudor went down 4 points. Price came down 5 points. And then the Stormtrooper Captain went down 2, and the Specialist went down 3. So that's all the point changes for this errata, or for these, the end of the yearly point change. That's where we're at.
So, the one thing I want to bring attention to there is, for, those of you playing at home, the ATST decked out with all of its weapons went down a full 27 points.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Big. Yeah. For anyone that's playing 2 ATSTs, that's like another squad of Stormtroopers or something that you can add in that list now.
And even if you're not, right, you said the normal laser cannon went down 10, and the ATST went down 5, right? So
Yep.
those lists that were already fairly competitive, I feel like the double ATST list, with those as the upgrades, you just got a free 30 points between your two ATSTs to spend elsewhere.
Ka-ching. Now you can afford Vader.
Or you can throw Del Mico in. Like,
Oh, yeah.
who's another 2-repair, range 5, like, sniper guy.
Yep.
To support your ATSTs. It's gross.
And price went down 5. I know people will put her in the... Although everyone's going to put Weiss in there now.
Yeah, Weiss in a fully decked out ATST. I had the pleasure of playing a game with that, and I will tell you, it feels like an ATST should. It just feels like the imposing force that you want it to be. No matter what it's doing, I played a game against some rebels. I was kicking guys while shooting all the way across the table at other guys. Just every turn, just shooting all of the weapons all of the time. It felt really good to have all of that on there. And Weiss on there being able to use that arsenal for. Again, it just felt like the ATST should. It felt scary.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So, quick summary. Everything feels new, like it should, on all fronts, on all faction fronts as a game. There's some erratas as well. There was some main erratas as well that changed a lot about the game fundamentally. I didn't actually say what my favorite errata was that I saw, but it was definitely Han getting steady. I just about died when I saw that of happiness. I was so happy. That's the one thing that Han needed, I think.
Yeah, getting steady and the kind of change to how
and low
profile,
low
right?
profile. Yeah.
That's huge too.
Because now it's just it's a lot simpler now too. It's basically just like auto light cover or auto cover +1 no matter what, as opposed to just when you either have no cover or heavy cover. Now you're always going to have either light or heavy, and I feel like that's better. That feels good.
Well, it's what, as long as you have cover, it cancels a hit, right? Cancels an extra hit. So really, it even gets better. If you get shot with no cover, you're just out of luck, right? You don't get anything for that. But if you get shot with light cover, you now essentially have heavy. And then if you have heavy cover, you actually have heavy cover +1. So you're removing 3.
Oh, is that what they did? I thought it was just like
unless I'm misreading it.
All right, well, I'll look into this while you get there, but I'll look into this real quick because I thought it was just that they were changing it to where it's like now it's now they're looking at no cover to light and light cover to heavy. That's what I thought they did. So if it's your way and now there's the potential of cover 3, that sounds insane. So I'll look into that, but
I'll talk about my other Empire list that
do that, because that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, start talking about some of these awesome games and units and stuff you've played, because now that we've talked about all the points and stuff, you can start talking about some of the cool stuff that you've been able to do in your actual games that you've been able to play.
Yeah, this is another one of those scary things I feel like with some of the stuff that Empire can now do, is I had a list that was run by General Veers. I had 2 sniper strike teams. I had 4 core units, 1 snow with flamer and impact grenades, and I think the extra guy. I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head here, and then the 3 other core were a snow trooper unit with Gideon.
Okay.
And a comms guy and an uplink. Then I had a shore trooper unit with Del Mico, and then the mortar. And then I had a Gav tank and an E-web. And the Gav tank had, I think, Price in it and onboard comms. And then I had a LAT with onboard comms and armor-piercing shells, I think.
Okay.
That list, every single turn, except for 1 pips. The only tokens left in my bag are my 2 sniper teams and I just drew a blank on his name, Veers.
That's
Everything
really
else
good.
has orders, because Gideon on the snow, every turn can recover and still move and shoot because he's on a snow trooper with heavy. And then he passes the extra order to the next corps, which is Del Mico's shore troopers, who then pass to the mortar. And then my other snows are in the lat, which are getting an order from the command card.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lat and the snows get an order there, and then the tank gets an order, and then it goes to the E-Web in there as well. So
Man,
almost
so
complete
much
order control in Empire that has 2 heavies in all those named characters.
I know.
It feels, and again, Veers, at that point, Veers has aggressive tactics on him. So I'm passing out 4 surge tokens a turn, no matter what.
Jeez.
Even on the 1 pips, I'm passing out 4 surge tokens. They essentially almost become like clones used to be, right? Like,
right.
Well,
that's what I was thinking, actually.
The equivalent of
when
clones
you said that.
now.
Yeah.
Because they have that
just
one
like,
token.
oh man.
Yeah, it's good. It was gross being able to do that every turn, just having that much order control, and having options to do things like fire supporting with the mortar. You still have your big vehicles that can get rid of armor if need be. And then you have repairs with Del Mico in there because he's cheap at 25 points. And if not, he can just sit there. He gets the free aim right from the shore troopers getting an order every turn anyway. So he could just aim and shoot and, use all his special abilities. It just felt really good. Empire's got some really interesting stuff, and you can do a lot with those unique characters, I feel like.
Well, that's going to be some good news, I think, for the Republic players that want to transition. I know so many of them are transitioning over to Empire, and it's like, just in case you're wondering if you should, you're losing your faction with your shiny white armor red dye infantry that get 4 surges a turn and have super awesome, strong, but expensive lightsaber users, and can fire support and have heavies and do lots of cool things. And you're trading it in for a faction that now has shiny white armor, red dye saving infantry, I forgot to say get orders every turn.
Yep.
They get almost full order control. They both also have the characters that pass around, and you're also going to be getting expensive but powerful lightsaber users and some heavies that can do some cool things and just can do some cool stuff.
Yeah. They have a lot of options.
So just swap the models around and you're basically playing the same faction but with different rules, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Empire, it's like the heavies went down. The lightsaber users got better.
They became more like clones.
Yeah, the unique characters that you can put in upgrades got cheaper. It's just like anything that you can think of that you wanted to get cheaper with Empire, it probably got cheaper. Or better.
They made Republic like Empire, and they made Empire like clones. That's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and I will say I got to play my most recent game. I got to play with new Commander Vader. I did Commander Vader, 2 flamethrower snows, 3 ion snows, a Royal Guard, and 2 snipers. And Vader is good. He is really solid. And it's not the extra command option that he was given. It's not like the upgrades. I mean, the upgrades are good, right? The new burst of speed makes Vader really good. It's all of the changes to his command cards that made him just that much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Because those all got eroded too.
Yeah, the Darkness Descends now, if you don't divulge it, you can just play it round 1, and it's just like Anakin's 3-pip, where it just gives him reliable 2 permanently for the rest of the game. Very good on Vader, obviously. Since he doesn't surge to anything on offense or defense, those surge tokens are really useful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Implacable, getting a dodge token every time you activate with it. It's really, really good.
Ugh. Scary. So, real quick, the low profile change. I think you are correct. I think I was reading it wrong. So, while defending against an attack, if a unit with the low profile keyword has cover, cancel 1 additional hit result. So yeah, I think that means, if you're in the open, you don't have cover, so low profile doesn't matter. If you're normally in light cover, you would cancel 1 hit, but then you're going to cancel an additional hit for a total of 2. And if you're in heavy cover, you would cancel 2 hits with low profile for an additional 1, which means, cover 3.
Yeah, cover 3.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and just think that's not only on Han, but, like the sniper strike teams or the full commando units.
Yep.
Can you imagine a full commando unit that just takes 3 hits off the top? That's really good.
That's really good, man.
Now, on the other hand, it makes the characters like Leia, Boba, Lando that have Sharpshooter 2 even better against low profile, right? Because it just takes everything away.
Yep. And one thing that's occurring to me now is this means that this is going to do a lot to the sniper war, at least for Galactic Civil War, because they both have low profile, and those both only shoot 2 dice. So if you get them in heavy cover, you got to crit to even have a chance to do damage.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Galactic Civil War snipers have the worst dice, right? Out of if you're looking at the different eras.
Yep.
However, now, like you said, it's near impossible to kill them
unless you crit.
Yep.
Or you get something
team, right? Yeah.
Right, with the sniper team. What I was going to say was, or you get something else close enough that has a bigger pool.
Right.
Or a melee unit or something, but yeah.
And then if I'm not mistaken, sorry, it's been a little bit since I've looked at these updates.
Oh, you're good.
I think too, Empire's scouts all went up to Scout 3.
They did, yes.
So that's a huge move right off the bat. I almost think that might have been too much. I
agree as well. I think maybe
5.
That was a little crazy.
Yeah, because I feel like if you left them at Scout 2, it increases their movement, but then you still have the debate. Do I spend the extra 2 points on recon intel, or do I leave it?
Were they Scout 2, or were they Scout? I think they were Scout 1 before.
Yeah, they were Scout 1. So if you just increased it to Scout 2, they would be on par with the Rebels.
Yeah.
And then it would still give you that interesting decision of, do I take the recon intel or not?
Right. You can still equip them with recon intel,
Yeah, you just
if
can't.
You just want to waste the points.
Yeah,
Man,
the points.
Somebody, I think it was in the Legion Academy group, this had to be a year ago at least now, but was playing a game where him and his buddy made each other's lists, and they were playing it super dirty, trying to take all the dumbest, most useless unit and upgrade combos. And he was like, what list should I give him? And I sat down, he's gonna play Empire, and what list should I make for him that's just absolute hot trash, and wastes points where possible. I'll see if I can find it real quick, but and then I'll share it with you, but because it was just so funny. I was like, oh man. But before we do that, Paul, actual driver of the Aa5 and Fleet Troopers up to this point, I would love to know what is the Fleet Trooper Aa5 combo the hot new thing that everyone should be reading about in Cosmopolitan and picking up and doing themselves? Because you make it sound like it's pretty freaking sweet. And I thought it was already going to be pretty freaking sweet. So I would love to hear from a master or a Padawan, if they haven't given you the rank of master yet, what your opinion is and what your tactics are playing them thus far.
Yeah, don't hype it up too much. No, I really had a lot of fun with the Aa5 and Fleet Troopers. The Fleet Troopers are, for the price, I want to say it's around 70 something points for the full unit with a grenade option. And I personally, with the way things are going right now, run them with the shotgun, the extra body, and I do impact grenades because of all the armor that's in the game.
Okay.
I know a lot of people would say, use the, blast grenades, concussion grenades, but, and don't get me wrong, there were times where I was like, man, I wish I had concussion grenades, but just the versatility it gives them with that impact when needed, is useful. I played in an event that, had an Aa5, and the fleets always were in the Aa5. And typically, what's interesting about it is for the first 2 turns, the fleets do nothing. They just sit in the bus.
Okay.
But then it's when you get halfway through the game and a full unit of fleet troopers just gets out right next to you and then just obliterates a unit, just deletes a unit off the table, it feels really strong.
And they're just like, hey, what's up?
Because they essentially just popped in and took advantage in an area that you might have no business being in because that bus can really get there.
Right.
I ran my bus with the reckless driver in it too. So every turn my bus was getting a free move, whatever other action I wanted, and then shooting. Because I had the quad laser gun on it as well. I like the quad laser gun over the other one personally. Again, gives impact and has six black dice. I'll take that. 6 50-50 chances to hit something. I'll take that.
Yeah. Most
days of the week for me. I'm used to the RTs, right? The 5 black anyway. So give me a 6 black. That's fine. I mean, those fleets, they deleted full clone trooper units. They deleted some droids. In my last game, they ended up, it took them, I think 2 shots worth, but they really put some hurt and ended up killing, some Mandos. So they just did a lot of work. And, what I could say is that, like I said, they felt really good. It might have been because I spent some time painting them. They've been kind of base
that
coated.
Always makes models do better.
They've been base coated for a while in some basic colors, but I was always waiting. I always told myself I shamelessly have stolen this idea from a guy in Chicago that I saw that did this, but I ordered some Riot Shields off of a website, and they came in, and so one of the troopers in each of the fleet trooper groups has a Riot Shield on it, and on the Riot Shield and on the little back of all the fleet troopers' vests, I actually took the time to hand paint on them SWAT and Arabesh. And so
I love that.
And my bus, I have painted, it's not fully painted, it's not done yet, but it is all black, and it's going to have the same SWAT and Arabesh all over it as well. And so it's my little SWAT van. The SWAT van pulls up, the SWAT team busts out with their Riot Shields and just, light guys up with all their special weapons and tactics there. And I really enjoyed it. I really, putting that on there, I wasn't sure if I was a good enough painter to get something so tiny onto them, but I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I'm definitely not as good as the guy that I stole the idea from as far as it goes, but I'm thrilled with how they turned out. And so it made it very exciting for me. And like I told my opponents, I was like, this is my little SWAT team. And most of my opponents called it my SWAT team. Like for the rest, they weren't Fleet Troopers anymore. They're
Right,
like,
they were SWAT.
you're going to get your SWAT team out the van. And I was like, yeah, here they come. And so it was a lot of fun. I like how they look now. Like I said, they had base coats for a long time. And so now they're actually getting some character to them. So they have kind of like some urban camo on them. Maybe I'll post a picture on our page so people can see my in progress Fleet Troopers that I have. So yeah, it was fun to play them. I do think that they're quite good. And like I said, when they're coming in on an untouched Fleet Trooper unit, which that was always the problem with them before, right? Like your opponent saw them, they knew they couldn't let them get close and hit you, so they hit them before they could get there. Dropping off a Fleet Trooper unit and just having the options of rolling a bunch of dice. I mean, typically I split up my dice and don't throw just all the whites just because I don't like the variation that much. I'd usually use the shotgun. Like 2 of the guys would throw white, so like 4 white dice, and then I would have like 3 of the guys throw grenades. And so it's like 2 red, 3 black, 4 white in a pool, and they always had an aim token from the tactician in the bus. So even on the turn where they got out and shot, they had an aim token. So it felt...
That's so good.
Yeah, it felt really good.
I was gonna say I'm definitely taking notes to like play mine later, because once I get I actually have my fleets, like I have my version of your SWAT team, like the dedicated fleets that go in the bus, and I can post a picture of them as well, but they're my party boys. So like, since my bus is gonna be like the party bus, I was like, I need a unit of fleets that like are perfectly matched up for them, for the bus, cause I like want to staple them to it. And they have all like purple undershirts and then like white jackets or like white vests and stuff, so they look all like slick. And I green stuffed the deal with it sunglasses on the leader, and like green stuffed and modeled his hand so it looked like instead of like up in the air, he looked like he was adjusting sunglasses. And yeah, so it's like getting them put with that. I'm taking notes on like what you've been doing so I can replicate some of that sweet action, because I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was fun. You can just get them in really good positions with that driver, the reckless driver in there, being able to get that free move every turn. Usually like the first turn I was kind of getting into position, so that way either second or third turn, whenever I decided, I could pop those Fleet Troopers out. And honestly, sometimes they just came up at a time and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice a full activation of them, but I'm not going to get them out and then let them just get counter shot by everything and die in a turn.
Yep. Right.
Like, it was very much the bus is to give them protection so that way they can come in and do the work that they need to. Because that's what you want from your fleets, right? You want them to use that giant dice pool that they have, the Pierce that they have, and you want it to be effective. Because before, I mean, when they were first out, you were lucky to kind of trade their points worth, right? Because most of the time they were getting shot before they were ever getting in there. Yeah. Right. And so now you have the opportunity to like save those points all the way until a really advantageous time. And against one of my opponents, I did literally get out and one-shot a Phase 1 Z6 squad. A 5-man. It wasn't a 6-man.
Still.
5-man squad. I think I rolled into 7 hits on him, and with Pierce 1, I was able to take out the whole thing. Obviously, he rolled below average right there, but it felt really good to just delete a full clone unit with those.
Oh yeah, that's always a good feeling.
Especially since that was the only full unit threat that was left on the board by the time they got out, which they didn't get out until turn 4, just because the way the game was going, like I could not get them into that position without them just instantly dying from a bunch of other stuff. So, like, I had to wait a long time in that game to get them out.
But patience is a virtue.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 turns of shooting, they killed 2 units. I mean, one was a full clone trooper, and the next one had like 3 guys in it, and it was, yeah. It was a cleanup at the end of the game.
Fleet troopers work.
I needed it to get
they
those
just
objectives,
work.
so.
Everyone needs to know that. If you can play Fleet Troopers right, they just work. It's like Todd Howard says. It just works.
Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun to play them. Definitely, if I'm bringing a bus, I know a lot of people, like including myself, thought Wookiees in the bus were like the instant go-to. But man, those Fleet Troopers are like 30, 40 points cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love fleet. You already know I love fleets, so that was my first thought. I mean, Wookiees, obviously, I was like, oh my god, the melee threat that you can just protect all the way down the board, that's insane. But like my immediate second thought was Fleet Troopers, and I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to do that.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is I feel like the Fleet Troopers, Wookiees are, coming out for Republic. Some people already have them, some people are getting them soon. Rebel Wookiees have been, coming into their own for a while now, and are really strong.
Getting buffed.
And the best way to deal with Wookiee squads is high dice pools.
Yep.
And fleets are...
they have T-shirt saves and just lots of health, but if you put in pretty much every wound you put on a Wookiee, or a hit you put on a Wookiee is a wound.
Yep.
So.
And those fleets, that's them. And like I said, they're like 40 points cheaper than a Wookiee squad. So if they can come out and delete 2 Wookiees, in that squad, that significantly reduces, what that squad can do.
Yep. All right. Well, I hope everybody learned some interesting notes from that, because that I certainly did. I'll be keeping a lot of that in mind when I get my fleets and Aa5 together. Was there anything else you had to share with your experience with them, Paul, or any last minute tips or anything that people should think about if they play them?
Well, I guess not with them. Like, I feel like I talked about them a bit, and there's some good things that you can do, and try them out. At one point, like I said, I like the impact grenades on them. One game, and this was before, like, all of these changes and stuff, I actually had them in a bus, and I dropped them off behind an AAT, and, full unit, so gosh. 6 guys.
I'm just painting the picture.
Yeah, in the rear arc of the AAT. So, again, for those of you playing at home, that's 5 grenades, impact 5 there, plus 2 more impact, because I'm in the rear arc of the AAT. So I'm rolling 7 dice, 5 black, 2 red, and it's impact 7. So every hit that I have is moving to a crit.
And Pierce 1.
And Pierce 1.
Ugh.
Yep, 2 turns of that and an AAT was dead.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So, I don't know if you bother even if on that AAT. I don't even know if you bother spinning around as your whole activation after that.
Well, and that's the thing.
At that point, you're just kind of screwed anyway.
Yeah, he tried to do that, and then the next turn, I just did a move and shoot rather than aim and shoot.
Forget it.
And there was still a tactician in a bus, so like they still had an aim token. So it wasn't. Yeah, that's. Again, the combination of the fleet and bus just feels really quite good. And one thing I guess I do want to say is, now that we have these points decreases for some things, I actually look at the clone shotgun. We talked about earlier how it got a little bit of a decrease, but the bigger thing that got a huge decrease was that lat.
Oh, a huge. For both factions, 15 points.
You could do a very similar thing with Clone Trooper shotgun and drop them out of a lat.
Or clone shotgun, Republic Wookiees out of the Republic LAAT.
Yep.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of...
Everyone can start doing it.
Yeah, and a 15-point decrease to those lats is huge. You essentially get whatever upgrades you want on them for free now, right? Like, so you're looking at like 120-point heavy that has
Scary.
really, I think really good mobility just because it can strafe,
Oh, yeah.
It can fly, so you don't have to worry about terrain. Like the bus, I will tell you, sometimes the bus just has issues because it can't go over certain things because of its height, and so it just kind of gets stuck.
Or if you have the reckless driver, you just can't reverse.
Yeah.
So if you're not careful, then you can get stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be really careful with some of that, where the lat doesn't suffer from that as much, right? Now, it's not going to be moving as much as the reckless driver, but I think you can get a very similar effect with like a clone trooper shotgun, or, you're not going to have the Pierce on the Empire, but an Empire, flame snow trooper.
You're going to have red saves.
Yeah, you have red saves to counter that, right? Or even Royal Guards. I feel like they finally got Royal Guards on the same kind of playing field as the Wookiee squad, whereas like the Royal Guards could actually maybe hold their own against a Wookiee squad, whereas before I felt like the Wookiees just won because of their, special keywords that they got, kind of buffed or whatever. So, again, Empire, I'm interested to see some of that and some of the new stuff that you can do with clones, and I want to see that shotgun. I like that shotgun.
All right. So I think like the last thing that we just need to, and this will be a very unplanned, but it's like perfect that I present this on the episode that we talk about Empire becoming like the new clones and the new Republic and the new gonna form the new meta. Are you ready to hear the worst Empire list ever made?
Yes.
All right. Now I've updated it for the current errata, so you could play this list today. If you do, I question your sanity and let me know how it went. All right. So it's 798 points. It's actually 11 activations. So that sounds attractive to you right now, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it starts with one commander, the generic officer, with targeting scopes.
No.
I found a lot of fun combos of useless upgrades to waste points. So targeting scope on that Imperial officer's pistol is a must. Then we've got 6 units of snow troopers, all with the ion snow trooper.
Okay.
They all also have comms technicians, which come with comms relay, and frag grenades.
Okay. I other than the comms guy just wasting a bunch of points, those aren't terrible units.
No. It was mostly just like finding ways to spend the points, and I felt at the time it was like, do I go stormtroopers with HH-12s or do I go snowtroopers with ion? And I felt snowtroopers with ion felt a little worse at the time. And then we get to my other favorites. So we've got 3 full units of scout troopers. Are you ready for these upgrades?
Yep.
Comms relay.
Okay.
As everything in the list has, except for the commander. Everything in this list has comms relay. They've also all got recon intel.
Okay.
And they all have Overwatch.
Yeah.
And that's it. No heavy.
Wow.
And then finally we've got 1 dewback with comms relay and protector.
Yeah, that's a wasted one too. Yep, those are good.
And then your generic 1 pip, 2 pips, and 3 pips because you have no unique options. So yeah, that is the greatest Empire list ever made. And I hope everybody starts playing it because welcome. This is the new Empire meta, so this list is good. It will beat everything, and you're gonna love it.
You, just to tie this in and go back just a quick hot second.
Sure.
Your list just reminded me that Empire can also do some crazy stuff with all these changes with a full scout unit, just like the Fleet Troopers. You have them in a lat, you have the full unit. It's not 6 guys, right? It's only 5, but you got the sniper and
the sniper.
then the
I was
full
gonna say
unit.
the Sab.
Well, the sniper gives you Pierce, right?
That's true. If you wanted to go that route, yeah.
So I was thinking sniper initially. You can do, if you wanted to, you can put right frag grenades on them. So now they surge to crit if you're at range 1.
Yeah.
To give them that extra ability to hit if you want to do that. Or you could go with any other grenade too if you wanted to impact or to negate. Well, they already negate cover 1, right? So that's a little bit better than a Fleet Trooper. They roll black dice instead of white, which is a little better than Fleet Troopers. And then if you give them duck and cover for 2 points?
Yep.
Even if they get out in the open, with duck and cover, they're still going to have cover 2.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because of the way low profile works. And if you happen to get them even in light cover with duck and cover, you're looking at removing 3 hits. And they can jump out, roll 10 dice. And if you had, let's say you had Price in there, you could even give them an aim and a suppression before they even get out.
Yeah, and then they're never no cover in that scenario.
Yep, and they're Courage 2, and yeah.
Dude, I'm ready to see. I want to see full scouts on the table again. I just want to see them ever put there.
Now that we talk about that, I'm really thinking about a full scout team in a lat.
Yeah, I was gonna say that honestly sounds really fun. I might have to get my lat painted up faster to do that.
And you're looking at less than 200 points probably, just under 200 points for those two. And that's with a decked out lat.
I think 170 something, 180 something probably.
Yeah, and then you got a couple upgrades on a lat, and a couple upgrades on the.
It's gonna be a different game, man.
Dude, there's some interesting stuff for sure. There's going to be a lot of options. I mean, Empire has a ton of options, but I think we're going to see a lot of different stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of different things from Empire. I think we're going to see a lot of different things from clones. Now, I don't know, CIS, I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of different from them. Rebels have some interesting things. I think we might see some more variety in heavy weapons from Rebels, just because I think that impact shotgun or whatever that they have in the regular Rebel Troopers is getting so cheap now that it's it's very and for a 2 red 2 white dice pool at range 2 seems pretty good.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see some more of that. I think that we'll see some more of these specialists in lists because they're getting so much cheaper. Because what they started off at the 13-point range, and now they're 1 point more than the extra guy.
Yeah.
So why not spend the 1 point to get that free aim on a stormtrooper?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even if you only use it once a game, 1 point for 1 aim.
That's 1 point. Yeah, and it's super worth it.
Yeah, it seems worth it, especially on a turn where you get suppressed or something, and you're like, wow, I really need that aim token. Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of stuff like that we haven't seen as much of lately, and it'll be interesting.
And then Shadow Collective will come out, and it'll be another new game again.
Yeah, and then people will be like, what are we playing?
We got to play Scum now.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, I think that it's Legion's in an interesting place right now because there's a lot of armor. But I think that with some of these changes, we'll see some more variety coming out.
All right, and on that note, Paul, what number are they serving now?
Well, looks like they're up to the low hundreds, but we still got a little ways. But I guess I can hang out with you for a little bit longer while we get this taken care of.
Should only be another couple hours at this point. So
at least we didn't miss it this time.
I didn't miss it. Unless we fall asleep before the number comes up. I'm getting kind of tired, but we'll see. That's what you're here for, buddy.
We'll make it. We can do it.
Sure. We got it. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening. I hope that everyone's going to go out and try all the new stuff that all their factions have going on, or maybe pick up a new faction now that, faction identities are kind of starting to flip around a little bit, and stuff's just becoming cheaper for some, more expensive for others. Rules are getting changed around. Erratas are getting changed around. I know a lot of people that are just changing factions entirely just after this. So I hope everybody has a dice time enjoying the new Legion, and I hope everybody had a dice time listening to us today, because I know we did. I know we had a great time talking. So hopefully everyone had a great time listening as well. Paul, any final words or any final send off?
No, I echo you. I enjoyed getting back to it and talking a little bit about Legion. And like I said, excited to see what people come up with, because there's a lot of options now. It's always fun to see after the point changes. So I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
It's tabletop Christmas morning.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, everybody. I hope you had a nice time today, and go out and make today even better.